A handful of people in the history of the world have been influential enough to merit the title Father of something. Few, however, have led a project that so profoundly affected the course of history as did J. Robert Oppenheimer. Extraordinary circumstances vaulted this extraordinary man to a rare position of leadership, leaving a complex and controversial legacy. Born in 1904 to wealthy Jewish German parents, J. Robert Oppenheimer had the best possible education and numerous opportunities for personal development. A prodigy, with broad interests in both the arts and sciences, he entered Harvard at the age of 18, earning a chemistry degree in 3 years. Preferring physics, he went to graduate school at Cambridge's Cavendish Laboratory, then transferred to the University of Göttingen in Germany, where he specialized in the new field of quantum mechanics. Soon, Oppie, as he was called, was turning out such advanced work that only the world's top physicists could understand it. After receiving his doctorate in 1927, Oppenheimer became a physics professor at both Caltech and the University of California in Berkeley. He was only 24 years old, but was well respected by scientists around the world. The Great Depression and Hitler's Nazism in Germany deeply affected Oppenheimer's social and political views. Many Americans embraced communist ideals, especially anti-Nazi sentiment. Oppenheimer financially supported communist efforts to relocate fleeing Jewish German scientists. As scientists escaped to America, word spread that Werner Heisenberg was developing an atomic bomb for Germany. Albert Einstein wrote to President Roosevelt in 1939 to persuade him to establish an American bomb project in response to this German threat. Roosevelt agreed, and multiple research sites throughout the country tackled the atomic issue. But without central leadership, there was little progress. In June 1942, the Manhattan Project was born to coordinate these endeavors. General Leslie Groves of the Army Corps of Engineers was in charge. He identified J. Robert Oppenheimer as the man to lead the scientific effort. Oppie chose Los Alamos, New Mexico as his site, equipped the laboratories, and recruited a team of the most highly qualified scientists in the world from his network of colleagues. In addition to leading the project, Oppenheimer personally designed the structure and method for the detonation of the bomb. Though Germany surrendered in early 1945 without having built a successful bomb, the Manhattan Project continued. 2 bombs were developed, one of uranium-235 and the other of plutonium. The plutonium bomb was so complex that no one knew if it would actually work, so the Trinity test was conducted on July 16, 1945, in the remote desert of New Mexico. General Thomas Farrell described the test. 30 seconds after the explosion came the air blast, followed almost immediately by the strong, sustained, awesome roar which warned of doomsday and made us feel that we puny things were blasphemous to dare tamper with the forces heretofore reserved to the Almighty. Oppenheimer later recalled the reactions of those around him.
Few people laughed. Few people cried. I remembered the line from the Hindu scripture, the Bhagavad Gita. Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds. I suppose we all thought that one way or another.
Oppenheimer was now the father of the atomic bomb. With Germany out of the picture, Japan became the new target of the bomb. President Truman ordered the drop. In his words, the atom bomb was no great decision. It was merely another powerful weapon in the arsenal of righteousness. On August 6, 1945, the crew of the Enola Gay dropped the uranium bomb on Hiroshima. It exploded above the city, releasing a force equivalent to 20,000 tons of dynamite, instantly killing 70,000 people, obliterating everything within a 2-mile radius, and condemning more than 100,000 additional people to slow, agonizing deaths from radiation-related illness. 95% of those who died were civilians. The plutonium bomb was dropped 3 days later on Nagasaki with similar results. Japan's surrender at the end of World War II came quickly. Within about 2 months, the United Nations was formed with the goal of preventing another such war. One of the great ironies of Oppenheimer's life was that, in spite of his belief in social justice, rationality, and science, he created the mechanism that caused death beneath a mushroom cloud. Scientists who participated in creating the bomb found themselves profoundly affected by the moral implications of their work. Extraordinary success came at an extraordinary cost. Many have questioned the wisdom of building the bomb, but most believe that it was better to be the first than to fall behind. The greater dilemma was whether the bomb should have been used, especially since Germany had surrendered. Though Japan had committed heinous war crimes and inflicted massive destruction at Pearl Harbor, respected leaders such as General Eisenhower believed that Japan was on the verge of surrender. Was the purpose of the bomb to save American lives by preventing the invasion of Japan, or was America really using it to send a message to the Soviet Union? Was it ethical to use a weapon that would certainly wipe out large civilian populations? Whatever the answers, this event ushered in the atomic age and the 45-year Cold War. Physicist Edward Teller went on to develop the far more powerful thermonuclear hydrogen bomb. Oppenheimer's leadership role shifted from weapons development to weapons containment. He established the Atomic Energy Commission in 1946 to control this new and deadly technology and prevent rogue nations from obtaining it. However, the genie was out of the bottle. The Soviet Union detonated a successful test bomb in 1949. NATO was formed as a protective alliance in the face of the Soviet threat, and also to prevent another militant state from forming in Europe. With the Korean conflict erupting in 1950 and other countries developing atomic weapons, U.S. leaders decided to continue nuclear bomb production, fueling the arms race. In the military, technology and air power became more important, but the most significant development during the 1950s was that of ballistic missiles, enabling the delivery of nuclear weapons from longer ranges as well as from submarines. Sputnik's launch in 1957 was another potential means of delivering a nuclear weapon from space, and the space race began. In 1962, the Soviet Union threatened America during the Cuban Missile Crisis, and paranoia skyrocketed. The concept of mutually assured destruction resulted from this crisis. Victory would be impossible since both sides would be obliterated by massive numbers of nuclear weapons directed at each other. During the 1970s, biological and chemical weapons entered the mix. With the invention and use of the atomic bomb, the arms race snowballed until the Soviet economy collapsed from the tremendous expense. Several independent nations were created when the Soviet Union fell apart in 1991. There was a bright side to the atomic breakthrough. Scientists channeled the fearsome power of the atom into practical civilian applications. Though their safety is still somewhat controversial, nuclear power plants are far more efficient for producing electricity than any other methods. Nuclear medicine created advances in research, diagnostic, and treatment options for a wide variety of health issues. Agriculture and environmental benefits include prevention of livestock diseases, food safety through irradiation, pest control, and soil and water management. Industries stemming from the application of nuclear energy provided desperately needed jobs following the Depression and World War II, boosting the U.S. economy. In 1947, Oppenheimer became the director of the Institute for Advanced Study at Princeton University. Soon, his greatest success in leading the Manhattan Project became his worst nightmare, as the country who once lauded him as a hero accused him of leaking information to the Soviets. By that time, Oppenheimer had ceased any support of communist causes. FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover had spent 11 years investigating Oppenheimer, but never discovered any evidence to prove the accusations. However, the government considered Oppenheimer to be a security risk and revoked his security clearance, ending his government service. In 1963, President Johnson softened the blow by awarding Oppenheimer the Enrico Fermi Award for outstanding contributions to theoretical physics and his scientific and administrative leadership. Oppenheimer died of throat cancer in February 1967. Whatever one's opinion of J. Robert Oppenheimer and the atomic bomb, there is no doubt that he played a key leadership role at a crucial time in U.S. history, and that his legacy, though a controversial mix of good and evil, lives on as the world debates the development, control, and use of weapons of mass destruction.